Hey guys, what's up? Okay, so there's things we need to talk about. You know, it's in the title, so let's get right down to it. I've made my return to streaming recently. It's been rocky to say the least, and I wanted to let you guys in on what's going on. Yeah, and obviously this is this VOD, if I am any semblance of a responsible person, at least this part of it will probably go straight uncut onto YouTube. Because I don't really expect to have much of an audience for this, which brings us to part one. And part one is that, well, also let me get the tunes going because I want to have like a little bit of an environment here at the very least. But yeah, so transitioning between games and the usual too many options thing is kind of coming in there, but the hardest part about that transitional phase is not being able to shake the feeling that nobody gives a crap. Like, it's definitely so much easier to get on camera and do something if you're really getting that energy from people that someone actually cares. Like, there's way too many times, like, in the past, I've had consistency issues. There's way too many times in the past where that end up being the first thing that comes to mind. It ends up being the first thing that comes to mind when I don't really have a game I want to play or something like that. There's always going to be in the back of my head that little idea like, why bother, man? Nobody gives a fuck. And that is my fault in part, but there is some basis in reality there that it's not going to exactly go away because I want it to, just because I will it, just because I suddenly have a positive attitude. This is a mutualist thing, guys. This is definitely, every streamer has a mutualist relation with their viewers, and my channel succeeding is up to me basically as much as it is up to you guys. So I'm not gonna force anybody to be my daily dose of self-esteem or anything like that, but if you really have ever cared, to anybody watching on Twitch, on YouTube, wherever, to anybody who has ever had any vested interest in my content, it would help to know. It would help to know because not feeling that anybody really cares if I do it or not is definitely the number one obstacle. I was mentioning this last time I streamed that I hold myself to the standard of a streamer that has unlocked 3 emotes, I've maxed, my top sub count was 27, but I hold myself to that standard even after all these years. I got affiliated, I'm pretty sure, in 2018. It was probably about exactly 3 years ago. And it was in a different game, it was a different time, but too many times I felt like I've had to start over right from the bottom. And that's kind of getting old. I've put in at least enough work to where that shouldn't be happening. I shouldn't be having that feeling that every time I switch the games that I focus on, it feels like starting from the absolute bottom. And I really don't have a straight answer as to what I can do to change that. You know, everybody will have their opinion on that, and you know, feel free to leave a comment, you know, on YouTube or in Discord. If you guys are watching this live, I'll go ahead and put that out there. Pretty sure the VOD is gonna have that as well. But yeah, just like, I really feel like I've done this too many times, and like, you know, just like, you know, sort of like, you know, shedding skins like a snake and just leaving that behind and just keep going. Like, it seems to be my basically my MO. Like, for the longest time, that feels like all I've really done is just leave people behind, like, leave things behind without adding anything new. Like, and inevitably that weighs on you over time. But, speaking of emotes, though, I did get some really interesting news right before I started streaming. Affiliates actually start with 5 free emotes, including 1 animated one. So that's awesome, because right now I have 4 more emote slots that I can fill up. And I had a couple of ideas. I'll, you know, run them by my artist. See what backing we can get for that. But, we're probably going to have to put up some sub goals for that. But it is good news. You know, it is a little bit of an extra push to want to do things, to want to get things going. Merch store as well, as you guys can see on screen. Obviously a great way to support the stream. You know, get me the funding for these. You know, the emotes that I've actually commissioned an artist to do, like, same guy, by the way, all 3 of them. He does great work, and you know, I'd want all of them to have the same level. Like, follower emotes, sure, I can make those myself. You know, they're only for this channel anyway, so, you know, like, putting money into something that people get for free is just not really too good of an idea, unless it were like a package deal that includes follower and regular emotes. But back to the main thing is, yeah, like I feel like I really need this stream to be built on a solid foundation, like, you know, as far as my mental. You know, I have this Discord. I put a lot of work into it. I've put some good bots. I've automated things. I've tried to make it like as inclusive as possible. I've made a section in Spanish. I have one in English. You know, it spans basically all types of all types of different games that I play. And yeah, I'm trying to think what I want to focus on next. I mean, I guess next on the topics would be the dwarf-sized elephant in the room. That's right. Minion Masters, the main game that gave me 2 of the emotes I posted earlier. Like, it helped me reach my first 2 emote milestones, but like right now, I have to say with all honesty, the game is an absolute dumpster fire. Like, I'm pretty sure the last time that I forced myself, because that is the correct wording, I forced myself to stream Minion Masters, it was probably one of the most unpleasant, like probably the most unpleasant gaming related experience in recent memory. I have to say, it pains me to say it, but that game really does feel like a sinking ship more than ever before. Like, I think that personally, like, if I did anything Minion Masters related at all, it would be either state of the game state of the game reports, things like that, you know, analyzing the game, seeing what can be done, but even that's just a thing where like it feels like an exercise in futility, because it's almost like you're building yourself up for hope, and that's probably not a good idea. That's probably not a good idea. And like, mainly if I did anything Minion Masters related, it would probably have to be competitive. Because you can curate your competitive formats to like isolate any undesirable issues that the game has. Like, for example, right now in Minion Masters, like 1v1 decks are like basically everybody's meta slaving at this point. Like, it really has become meta slave or die. And I hear some top players say that, but like, yeah, it's always been like that at the very top. But at this point, like, people are basically meta slaving from diamond onwards. Like, it's really to the point where no opponent offers an interesting gameplay experience. Like, it's just some brain-dead, robotic, rinse, repeat that just gets the job done without, like... I don't know, the game has devolved into something that undermines skill in a way that's almost absolute. And, like, for me, that's not really tolerable. But if I did something related to competitive events, which I do have ideas, like, that's the most frustrating part about Minion Masters right now. Like, I inevitably find myself thinking about competitive formats that I could build for the game, but, you know, like rule sets and like card exceptions. Like, if Once Bitten is in every freaking deck, ruining every freaking interaction, like, I could ban that in my tournaments, and suddenly it's a much more interesting experience. But yeah, that would be probably the one way I keep putting time into Minion Masters, unless there's like significant change, which at this point I don't think is really possible, because honestly, the significant change that I would like to see would be them releasing more content in every release. Like, two cards a month is not sustainable. Like, it's not sustainable as far as refreshing the game and making it feel like a new experience. Like, most of the recent cards that have been added to the game just do nothing. And like, it feels like they're too afraid to power creep because they've had bad experiences like Tink Tank Tongue and the like. Razor Squad, pretty recent card that's wrecking people. And yeah, but I don't really want to dwell on that, but I do want to dwell on the part about competition, because like, honestly, that was always a focus that I wanted this channel to have ever since I started out. Like, one of the big things that helped me reach affiliate, actually, was that you know, a couple of people have heard this story, but for the ones who haven't, one of the things that I did, I actually built a 5v5 team format for Hearthstone, and we had like regional face-offs, which was actually really awesome. Like you would contact like a smaller community, and they would build their team, and they would go against like, you know, my friends would make their team, and then like it was a pretty interesting experience in community building. And you know, I miss that. And another important element as to where I want my stream to go, and the reasons that I ever started doing this in the first place, was like, I've always seen competition as a way to meet extraordinary people. Like, I really, really have this very, very strong desire to meet and to connect with, like, yeah, that's the only word I really have for it, extraordinary people. Like, I really like, I really need to know more people that can transcend this whole, like, this whole boring trope of, like, people that want more out of their lives than a 9-to-5, a spouse, and a couple of kids, you know? Like, I really need to be more in contact with people who have similar aspirations to me. Like, that just, like, it makes sense to me. Like, it's so much more interesting to, you know, aspire to a goal in your day-to-day and, like, align your day-to-day with that expectation if there's other people on that same road with you. Like, I guess that's what it really boils down to. Like, I really feel like there's a significant emptiness there. Like, it definitely, like, 3 years after getting affiliate, it still feels like me against the world. And that's not really much of a good feeling, because it means that not very much remains. Like, whatever I pick up along the way, it sticks around for a couple of months, and then it's just, yeah, and then it's just not there. Just gone, you know, separate ways. And part of that is, you know, that I haven't met those extraordinary people that I wanted to come in contact with. You know, I met regular people that shared a pastime with me. And, you know, saw it as a pastime instead of, you know, the way I see it, which is, you know, an opportunity to build into something bigger, something greater that can, you know, be so much more than the sum of its parts. And I've just, like, I need to meet people like that. Like, you know, to be honest, like, you know, bother whoever it may, I need to meet more people like me. Like, that's the bottom line. Like, I actually read, like, it was an interesting find, because, like, I don't really research these things, but, like, you know, Google Analytics, those algorithms and everything, like, that shit scares me sometimes, because it sometimes has strangely pinpoint accuracy for the online articles it recommends to people. And one of the ones that it actually recommended to me was an article from Psychology Today that was talking about, like, the habits and tendencies that gifted people have. Like, gifted was the word that they used. And like, I've always thought it like I've always had regarded myself as gifted, but then like reading that article and seeing that I have like almost all the characteristics across the board, it was like it was good news and bad at the same time, because like it confirmed like it confirmed the concept that I had of myself, but it also meant that it also talked about the problems that gifted people face, and I had most of those characteristics too. So, it was like, good for your ego, bad for your mental health, because it's like, well, yeah, I guess I am this gifted person, but it doesn't amount to much, because all these obstacles that the article's mentioning are, things that do tend to happen to me, and I'm like, well, what now? Like last year, I'm pretty sure I've mentioned it, but for people who aren't aware, I was actually undergoing therapy a significant portion of last year. And one of the main things that stuck with me about that whole process, which admittedly I didn't really finish, because it got to a point where it was just monotony. Like, it would be the same thing every week, just the therapist, he helped me a lot, but there was a point where he was just repeating himself, and like I knew what needed to be done at that point, and I just thought, like, I don't really need to be spending like $150+ on pills a month. Like, that's just so, I kind of did away with that part. But one of the things he said that really stuck with me and still just kind of like, concerns me, like it just pops up in my head and really gives me this inevitable feeling of concern. He said intelligence is one of the worst things for happiness and mental health. It's one of the biggest obstacles for happiness and mental health. And that was, I was gonna say mind-blowing, but I don't really think that's the word. Like, it's almost disappointing in a way, because like it means that I don't know, in a certain way it means like your talents are useless. Like the great abilities that you think you have no actual practical use. And that's rough to hear. It's rough to hear because like these days the world doesn't really isn't really designed to exploit those potentials. Like, it's like the world of today is designed to keep you miserably in debt and working your ass off, contributing to the whatever corporate machinery you decide to sell your time to. And like, it's not really built for people to reach their full potential, because that has too many dreamers, too many dreamers doesn't get things done, sadly. And yeah, the complicated part is, you know, having to learn all these things like basically by yourself. And like that's when we circle back to this whole like this whole me against the world deal. That's when you look at it and like you know, you end up thinking that whatever's going on, like nobody but you is gonna have the awareness and the actual plan to pull you out of it. Which was like another thing that was kind of unfortunate timing, because right as when I have like that mentality swirling around in my head, like my dad who always likes to, like, he's lost the habit, but he was always like one of those guys that's addicted to like sending you like motivational videos and the like. And the last one that he sent me, one of the few that I've ever bothered to actually watch, like, it was a video about Arnold Schwarzenegger when he was governor. And basically he was giving a speech with the central message that nobody does it alone. And I'm like, yeah, well, fuck. Because under the circumstances, I basically am alone. So, what are you trying to do here? What are you trying to inspire? If the message is nobody does it alone and I'm alone, it's like, fuck. Yeah, it's... Thanks, Dad, not helping. Not helping at all. But yeah, I think that might summarize it. Honestly, I think that might summarize what I wanted to talk about. But yeah, what does this mean as far as my stream? Well, first of all, it means that I'm going to be trying things. It means that I'm going to be trying things. I'm going to be branching out. I'm going to be diversifying. And I am staying as far away from Minion Masters as humanly possible. If you were only here for Minion Masters, like, you know, like if you were here for Minion Masters significantly more than you were here for like me and my take on things and the spin that I put on content, then like, I'm just gonna go ahead and say, you know, like leave now. Don't drag things on too much. Like, if you think you can stick around and actually enjoy other types of content that I do, then you're definitely more than welcome to stay. But if you were here, you know, just for Minion Masters and just to be a freeloader piggybacking drops off of my wins, then this is probably the end of the road for us, chum. But, you know, if you ever felt like you came to this channel for the things that I offer, then, you know, I'm gonna ask you to be a little patient, but more than patient, like, open to new experiences. Open to new experiences, open to, stick around while I'm testing things. Like, I definitely think I pick up things quickly. Like, I've never really given in to the low tier self-deprecating humor that people do when they're extremely mediocre and they're trying to make that funny or appealing somehow. Like, hey guys, I'm suck, come laugh at me. No, I've never been one for self-deprecation. I always like to dive deep into the games I play. I like to dive deep, and I like to get as good as possible at the games that I play. Fall Guys is a great example of that lately. I've been playing consistently for, I want to say, at least the last 2 to 3 months, maybe 4 to 5. But I do feel noticeable progress in the 85, 90 hours that I've played the game total. I really do feel linear progress. So don't feel that because I'm experimenting that there's not going to be a quality baseline that you guys can expect. There is definitely going to be a baseline of quality. I'm obviously not going to be world class or even close at the start, but rest assured, if I do put time into it, I can do it. I want to give you guys that vote of confidence, but yeah, if you were here for me and what I do with the content that I stream and the games that I play, that's all that I'm asking. A little patience, a little open-mindedness to new experiences, and honestly, if you were so inclined, just letting me know that you were here for that part. Again, if you have anything to say related to that, definitely leave it in the YouTube comments or in Discord. Definitely important feedback that I'd like to hear from you guys.